Good day and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan Battle video. In this video we're going to be taking a look at Super Mira, the Strength Super Mira that recently got his Extreme Z Awakening as a part of the Dragon Ball Heroes collaboration campaign. So this is Strength Mira. He is a Dragon Ball Heroes or Extreme Strength type, Ki +3 and attack and defense of 130% lead. He greatly raises his defense permanently, whilst greatly raising attack for one turn, and causes supreme damage to the enemy. He has attack and defense of 200, or attack of 200%, defense of 100%, and disables the enemy's guard, plus an additional attack and defense of 50% when performing a super attack, and he gets Ki +2 and launches an additional super attack when all allies attacking in the same turn, or Dragon Ball Heroes category characters. His attacked enemies will have minus 30% attack and defense for 2 turns, plus an additional attack of 100% and great chance of performing a critical hit when the attacked enemy is in attack down or defense down. He has Android Assault, Demonic Power, Berserker, Tough as Nails, Nightmare, Fear and Faith and China Limit, and Resurrected Warriors, Androids, Time Travelers, Artificial Life Forms, Dragon Ball Heroes, Revenge, and Crossover are his categories. In terms of build for this guy, you're probably going to want to look at something like a bit of a critical hit build with some additionals, because even though he does have a good chance to crit when the attacked enemy is attacked down or defense down, this doesn't apply to every event, and I would probably say you want some additional because you want him to raise those stacks of defense that he's greatly stacking a little bit faster, so he's a bit more viable defensively. Evasion doesn't really necessarily directly help him, but I guess you could give it to him because, yeah, he probably won't survive a super from any of the big boy units, but he will tank normals pretty well, which at the end of the day is kind of what you also need to consider as well. So yeah, the greatly stacking defense on his super attack is obviously a hugely important component to his kit, and really does kind of determine just how good he's going to look. It's very similar to Mr. Gohan, the Tech Gohan, who's obviously incredibly powerful. People love him. The big difference between him and Super Mira is Mira does not have guard capabilities. I think this is probably something they're missing, even if it was limited, 1 or 2 turns. Mira does not start with a very high defense. He starts with like 96k at 55%. That's with all 3 major links, like active, Android Assault, Demonic Power, etc. So I think there is, how can I say, like a little bit of kind of a too slow a start for Mira, even with his easy aim. Unless you have him at like rainbow level or something, it just feels like he starts very low down the spectrum when it comes to defense, and that is some kind of hindrance to him, especially when you consider this base linking partner as Mira, the base form Mira that turns into like Super Mira or Hybrid Mira or whatever it is. And they think like, they share a lot of links, but that Mira is not on Dragon Ball Heroes, which means that Super Mira cannot activate his full passive. He doesn't get those additional attacks, and I think that does limit the rate at which he stacks. All of those additional attacks do dramatically affect just how strong he can be, and just how strong his overall output is. So I definitely think it's something to consider. It's not game breaking or anything, but I do think, the fact that he doesn't have all 3 of those major links, Demonic Power, Android Assault, and Tough as Nails active without sacrificing his passive is a little bit of a shame, realistically. So yeah, I think that's maybe the only thing that's holding him back. I think otherwise he's quite a strong unit. I think he's got a good level of kind of flexibility. He doesn't need to be a 2nd or 3rd slot unit. He's definitely not a 1st slot unit. Even when he builds up, he's not going to survive super attacks. It would take him quite a while to build up, but the speed at which he builds up is pretty good, and I think his overall performance is really quite solid. I think for me as a unit, he sits in the space of being a relatively solid EZA without being a unit that's borderline broken, or without being a unit that's abjectly terrible. So I do think there's definitely space or room for him to kind of maneuver, to be a very solid unit. And I think overall he's in a good position there. Now yeah, that is kind of everything that I think needs to be mentioned about him and his performance. I think if you do like him or do want to use him, you probably have dupes in him. I do just feel those elevator, much like Janemba, much like a lot of the Dragon Ball superhero units, because of their low stats, the additional dupes really kind of push these units into like a better space. Not that they make them, you know, objectively broken, although some of them they do, but I think the dupes for heroes units always feel way more impactful than dupes for other units, or baseline units I should say. Speaking of obviously links, I think, you know, Android Assault, Demonic Power, Tough as Nails, these are obviously highlight links for him. You do have Fear and Faith, you do have Nightmare. I don't think these are so important. You do want to rely on Shattering the Limit, and just in general you want him to be in a situation where he is getting some key. But I think, you know, what's imperative to him is getting at least one of those 3 links. If you can get a combination of the 2, you can get Android Assault and Tough as Nails, or Tough as Nails and Demonic Power, or Demonic Power and Android Assault. If you can get like either combination of those links, I think you sit in a good position. And I think he needs them. They do elevate his defense a lot, and it's not that they help him stack, they only get calculated after the stack, but when he does start to stack a lot of defense, they progressively begin to count and matter a lot more. Now, Dragon Ball Heroes only locks his additional super attack behind, so this does mean that he's in a decent enough position to kind of, obviously, as a unit, just kind of function like really well. And I think he's, you know, fairly flexible. I think he can be placed on a fair number of teams, which is why I say rather prioritize getting him some of his decent links, but definitely his defensive link. Overall, this guy's a lot of fun, and I did enjoy using him. I think players will enjoy him, and in the right situation he can look really great, and it's just really solid. But that's it from me. See you guys next time. Bye.